What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and the US Men's National Team World Cup qualifying window just ended, and I want to talk about all the players, how they did, and who I think did well, who I think needs to improve, who should go, who should stay, and yeah, I just want to get into every player. We had 17 of our 26 players called up play, and yeah, starting with goalkeeper Zack Steffen. And I think what he showed is that should he get consistent playing time, he's going to be our number one. He still needs to clean up some mistakes that come from being rusty, but man, against Mexico, his ability on the ball, it really shined through. And he was making some good saves throughout the tournament. I mean, the only thing he let in was that Antonee goal, which I think you could argue, but I don't think Matt Turner saves that either. I mean, he's a great goalkeeper, but he needs to clean up those mistakes. And those mistakes come because he's rusty, because he's not playing. So he needs playing time, and he's not going to get that at Man City, which he just signed a huge contract there. So, I mean, it's basically what we know. He needs to get some playing time, but until that happens, he's going to be competing with Matt Turner. But should he get some playing time, he's going to be our clear number one. So next on the center backs, and starting off with Miles Robinson. And I feel like he showed he's still our best defender. He's got great athleticism, great 1v1 defending. And yeah, he's great defensively. However, he does still struggle with build-up play. He's not the best on the ball, and that can really show sometimes. But he is such a good defender that it's worth overlooking to have him in the squad. Should he be starting long-term? I'm not sure, but he's definitely in the team. Next, Walker Zimmerman. And I feel like my opinion on him is different from a lot of people, but to me, he really showed he was disposable this qualifying window. And what I mean by that is, I'm looking at him, and it's like, as a defender, as a complete center back, do I see him as better than Miles Robinson or Chris Richards? And no. I don't feel like he's got more talent defensively than either of them. You say, oh, look at his headers. Well, Chris Richards is winning all of his as well. Miles Robinson, great in the air. And he did get kind of beat on that Jamaica goal that was called back, which I feel like should be talked about at the very least. And also, he is downright terrible in build-up against competent teams. That Jamaica game was almost embarrassing at the level where he just kept giving the ball away. And I'm looking at him compared to other center backs. He doesn't bring an on-ball ability like John Brooks or Mark McKenzie. He doesn't have athleticism like McKenzie or someone in the MLS like Austin Trusty or Aaron Long. He's an all-right backup with solid defensive abilities, but do I have him rated higher than someone like Tim Ream? I mean, if you put Tim Ream next to Miles Robinson, his only appearance in the World Cup qualifying window, he played great. I mean, he shouldn't be in the team because he has a very low ceiling, but against this level of opposition, he can do fine. And I really don't see anything that Walker Zimmerman brings to the team that nobody else could. And I feel like he's only in the squad because he's an MLS guy. Next got Chris Richards, and he showed an ability to play in CONCACAF, which everybody can play in CONCACAF. It's nothing, but some people still need to see it for some reason. But yeah, he's got good defensive ability. He showed his athleticism. I mean, did we see that photo of him jumping with Mikel Antonio? Like, man, he's great in the air. He's got the speed. He has an on-ball ability. Like, man, he had a great part in that goal that we scored. He played Busio. Busio found Weah. Weah 1-2 with Pepi. Chris Richards started that, and yeah, he's a great player, and I feel like he can be a starter for us. Honestly, I felt like this since probably 2019, but hey, it's good to see. Next, we got Antonee Robinson. And yeah, he showed that he's a very inconsistent player, and his technical abilities are kind of limited. Yeah, he has some great games sometimes, but man, it was not like that this window. I felt like he was pretty good against Mexico, providing a lot of chances, but against Jamaica, worst player on the field in my opinion. He offered little offensively. He was making mistakes defensively. Even against Mexico, he was giving away a lot of fouls. And yeah, he's got to clean that up because I'm looking at Robinson, and he's going to be a Premier League left back next season, one way or the other. Fulham's looking good. He's got to clean up these mistakes, and if he doesn't, he's going to get torn apart next year. And it's going to be tough in the World Cup. But he's gotten a good ability. You can see the athleticism. You see his glimpses of talent, but I can see why everybody's really excited about Jonathan Gomez, and should he choose us, which is a very big if, I could see him breaking into the squad kind of easily. Next, we got Deandre Edlin, and he showed that he's not a liability defensively, which is pretty big for this team. Because after that Canada game, I was really worried, but we got to keep in mind that was Alphonso Davies, and Alphonso Davies, like, legitimately a world-class player. So, I saw people saying, like, oh, Mikel Antonio, he's a world-class striker. No, he's a good Premier League striker. Alphonso Davies, world-class player, and yeah, he got the better of Yedlin, but Yedlin showed very good defensive ability. Solid against Lozano. I still think he got beat once, and he was kind of at fault for that red card for Miles Robinson, but very good against Leon Bailey, who's a solid player, and he's got a good defensive ability. Unfortunately, nothing offensively, not a threat at all, but I think that defensive ability keeps him in the squad. Should he be above Joe Scaley? I don't think so. Should he be above Dest or Robinson? No, but I think he's still in the squad. Next, we got Tyler Adams, and a very poor window for Tyler Adams, in my opinion. He's definitely got a lot of room to grow. He was at fault for that Mikel Antonio goal. He didn't close him out enough, and he was giving away the ball a lot against Mexico, so pretty poor window for him. But he's still a very good player, our best defensive midfielder. He's great in build-up, but he's got to clean up those mistakes, and he's got to grow a lot at Leipzig. I'm hoping he can have a really good run of games for them, and if he's able to do that, that's great, because I feel like he could be our best player when he's on. But, man, not the greatest performance, and he's going to have to clean up those mistakes. Next, Kellyn Acosta, and if you've noticed the theme for MLS players, very good defensively, offers nothing going forward, and is extremely poor technically to the point where it hurts the team. Yeah, I can understand his defensive ability, but the idea that he needs to be in the squad is just wrong. I mean, first of all, like, a defensive midfielder, do we really need someone who we can bring on to close out games? And I ask that because it's not really needed in other places. Like, I mean, did Chelsea bring on a defensive midfielder to seal off the game? I really don't think so in the Champions League final. I know that Real Madrid didn't do that. I know Barcelona doesn't do that. Like, it's not something completely necessary for the team. And then, like, think about what Leicester, when they had Wes Morgan towards the end of his career. They would sub him on towards the end of the games to really go up for head balls and compete when teams started just hitting the ball long. Do we need somebody who can do that? Do we need a striker who is strictly there to hold up and press towards the end of the game? No. With our extremely limited roster spots come a tournament, I don't feel like Acosta's needed. And even if he was, in the MLS, Leon Flock does his job just as good. There's nothing that Kellyn Acosta can do for this team that Leon Flock can't. And then other guys throughout the world, guys like Tanner Tessman, Johnny Cardoso, Christian Pepi, I'd love to see them and get a chance because they could do this job, but we really don't know as Acosta keeps hiding the spot. So yeah, Acosta, I really don't want him back until he can show that he's better on the ball, and I don't feel like that moment will ever come. Next, we got Weston Mckinney, and he honestly showed that he's just flat out undroppable. I mean, there were a bit of worries after, what was that incident where he broke COVID protocols? So yeah, that was a thing, but man, he showed amazing ability. He's a great player. Like, I don't feel like I really need to explain Weston Mckinney. He's just a great player, undroppable, and we really missed him when he was suspended. Next, Yunus Musah. He continued to show his ability on the ball, but as great as he is, his defensibility is lacking a bit as an 8, and I feel like because of that, once Gio Reyna gets back to the team, he'll probably go into the midfield, and I feel like Musah's the guy who goes. He's still a great player and amazing talent, but he's probably the odd man out in the midfield, which isn't a bad thing to have a guy like Yunus Musah on the bench, but he isn't playing that much for Valencia, and I feel like once we get our full-strength team together, he'll probably be coming off the bench. Next, we got Gianluca Busio, and I honestly feel like he had a great game against Jamaica. I mentioned before, he was directly involved in the goal, uprighting past to Tim Weah before he played that 1-2, and man, that was just a great show of technical ability because man, there are guys on this team like Sebastian Lletget, Cristan Roldan, Kellyn Acosta, like those three in the midfield. If any of them were playing that game, they wouldn't have been able to make that pass, and we would not have scored that goal. So Gianluca Busio, he showed that he's a guy who we can trust to start and not slow down this attack. And in addition, I felt like he showed some good defensive work. We know his effort is there. Now, will that be able to continue against like high-level teams, like against a good European side? Will Gianluca Busio's effort with his limited athleticism be enough? I don't think so. But the effort that there is definitely good. And he also showed an ability to take on players. He had a good shot. Like, Gianluca Busio, like, to me, this window, he showed that he needs to be in the team. Now, is he a starter? I don't think so. But he needs to be in the squad, and I would have him over, man, so many midfielders. But great window, I feel like, for Gianluca Busio. Next, we're on to Brenden Aaronson. And Aaronson, he's a very good player. I love his energy, his pressing, and I feel like he's underrated taking on players. I saw a lot of people kind of getting into him for that. When he was in the MLS, I feel like he was the best player on the ball in the league. But I feel like he's droppable. And he didn't have the moments that he could have had before, where he was just making things happen and one of the best players on the team. When Pulisic's back, he's going to take that left wing spot. Now, he did have I don't even want to say a bad window, but not up to his standards. And when we get to Weah, who had a great window, but hasn't been the best before this, like, I feel like it's them fighting for a last wing spot. Maybe Gio Reyna goes there. Maybe Yunus Musah continues to start. I'm not sure, but Aaronson's droppable is what I'm trying to say. Next on to Weah, and as I mentioned before, not the best windows before, but he was amazing. Probably man of the match in both games. Crucial to almost all of our goals. Setting up Pulisic on the cross. Scoring that goal, and a great 1-2 with Ricardo Pepi. And yeah, great job by Weah. He was always dangerous on the ball. And he's showing like he's really got to be considered a starter for this full-strength squad. At the moment, he probably is. We got to see how things turn out, how form's looking, but he's probably going to be our starter at right wing come next window if we're fully healthy, even if we're fully healthy. So yeah, great work there. He does have things he can improve too, which might sound like a negative, but that's a positive. Like, if his crosses get better, if he gets like a little better with his dribbling, like, he's going to get even better than he already is. And he was the man of the match for both of our games. So yeah, great job by Weah. Next, Christian Pulisic. And I feel like this is something we already knew, but man, he's a star player. Like, that game against Mexico, he was only on for like, what was it, the last half hour? Less than that. But the whole game felt like it was revolved around him. It was the United States wearing down Mexico and staying in the game until Pulisic could come on, because Pulisic was going to make that difference. Like, when you're a sub and the whole game's revolving around you, that's an amazing feeling. He's a great player and a star man for the squad, and I'm so glad he stayed healthy, because I was worried about that. Next, we got Paul Arriola. And yeah, I think he isn't good enough, just straight up. What he brings to the team is allegedly his work rate and his pressing ability, but when we played Mexico, we pressed them hard, and Weah did fine. He did a good job covering defensively, and we were pressing them the whole game. That would have been the time to play Paul Arriola. We decided not. Greg decided not to. And if he doesn't have faith in him for a game where we press a team like that, he isn't needed for his pressing ability. And then I look at what he did against Jamaica, and it was nothing. He had chances to make an impact, but he didn't. He's just not good enough as a player. He doesn't have the technical ability. He doesn't have the athleticism. He's very injury prone, and honestly, he shouldn't have been called back to the team after Trinidad. You can argue with me with that, but it's going to suck when he's in the December squad, because I don't want to see him play for this national team anymore. Which is nothing against him personally, but it's just, he's not good enough. But, okay, lastly on the strikers, we got Ricardo Pepi, and I feel like what happened with Ricardo Pepi this window is we're realizing he's not our clear number one striker. He's our best striker at the moment, in the best form probably. Oh, Daryl DK's got an argument. But Ricardo Pepi's probably our best striker. He's got the man, the natural finishing ability, he's got some great movement. His hold-up play is leagues better than most players that we have. I think every striker that we have. So yeah, Ricardo Pepi, great player, but he's not undroppable in the way that Pulisic and McKennie are, because he does have things he's got to work on. I mean, he's 18, that's obvious, but things like just polishing his game, always being ready, because there are times when the ball comes to him and it's almost like he's caught flat-footed. Maybe that's just him being fatigued. I feel like that is part of that, but there are things that he can improve, obviously, and until that happens, I can see a guy like Daryl DK winning the spot. If Josh Sargent hits a run of form, he can win this spot back. So I feel like that's what we learned with Ricardo Pepi. And lastly, we got Jesús Ferreira, and unfortunately, we learned that Greg Berhalter is going to be playing him as a 9, and a true number 9, which that's just not his position. He's not good enough as just a pure striker, which is fine, because he's a number 10, and he's a very good number 10. And honestly, when he got called up, I was excited, because I was like, man, if we're playing him as a number 10, that's a different look to our attack, man, it could be very good. But no, he just made a like-for-like sub with Jesús Ferreira and Ricardo Pepi, and if he's there strictly as a number 9, he's not good enough. I wouldn't call him up as a 9. Again, I'm specifying this in our system, which is very rigid, which I don't feel like is the best for our team. But in this system, Ricardo Pepi's over him, Daryl DK's over him, P. Fox over him. I probably have Josh Sargent over him, and man, I'm looking at some MLS guys, if they hit form, like, there are a lot of players who I'd take over Jesús Ferreira. But he's a very good player, and he should be playing as number 10. If he does that, I'm kind of excited about him, but he has to be used the right way, and we're not going to use him like that. So yeah, that's everybody who played this window. Man, a couple of good showings. Busio, Chris Richards, they really impressed. Tim Weah, man, this is almost like a breakout performance for him. And yeah, some really solid performances. Now on to the guys who didn't play. Just want to talk about them a bit. Matt Turner, I was kind of weirded out that he was dropped for this window, especially when we played Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson against Mexico. I feel like he is still the best shot stopper, at least going form-wise. But, man, him playing out the back is just not good enough. I don't feel like that'll really get better. Maybe a bit, but not to the level of even someone like Ethan Horvath, who I don't really rate that much in playing it out the back. But, yeah, he's still a great number 9, or great backup, and could be a starter. Like, he's amazing in goal, but the other things need improvement, and if Berhalter's not playing him, well, maybe that's just him liking Steffen. He did play for him on the Columbus Crew. But if Berhalter's not trusting him, then his feet really do need to get better. Sean Johnson, I don't know why he's still getting called up. I mean, I know why, because Ethan Horvath's not playing, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have... It's weird, because he is playing, and you know what you're going to get out of him, but I feel like Ethan Horvath is better, Bill Hamid's better. I could see an argument for having even someone like a Brad Guzan in for experience, or Gabriel Slonina for getting him experience. So, like, I don't feel like has any future with the team, really. Next, Mark McKenzie. I guess it's good to see that Berhalter still has faith in him, despite him not playing in Belgium. Like, he's Genk's third center back, and he's really not getting time, and like, he'll get some time, and like, if they've got 2 games a week, he'll play the less meaningful one, but it's really rare for him to play at the moment. So I guess it's good to see Berhalter still has faith in him, because I feel like he still has a lot to bring to the team. I feel like he has the talent to be able to surpass someone like Miles Robinson, but at the moment it's not happening. Like, if McKenzie really gets going, like, he's a great athlete and he's great on the ball. I'd love to see him paired with Chris Richards, but he needs to take that next step forward. James Sands, it was good to see him called into the team, because I wasn't too sure if he'd be there. And James Sands is somebody who brings something valuable. He's a very good middle center back in a back 3, but that's kind of the only thing he can do. He wasn't good enough at the 6. He's not good enough as a single center back or a back 2 center back at the moment. So it's good to see him in the squad, and I could see him having a place in the team, because switching to a back 3 would be very valuable. I could see it really helping our team. But yeah, he's such a like niche player that I could see him not being in the squad. Sam Vines didn't do too much, especially with Robinson struggling. You could have seen him get some time, but really don't feel like we've got faith in him yet. Him and Bello really, I feel like they'd get surpassed by Jonathan Gomez pretty quickly. Reggie Cannon didn't get any playing time. It makes sense. He just got back to playing with Boavista. I really don't think like he should have been in the squad. I should mention that Aaron Long was called to the team. He's not back from injury yet, but I guess that's a good sign for him. I really don't feel like Long brings anything to the squad, but it's good to see him recovering from the injury. Joe Scaly, he didn't get any playing time, but he was in the squad. Hopefully that means should Dest be unavailable or should Robinson continue to struggle, we'll have the faith in him to step in because, man, he's looked really good in the Bundesliga. Sebastian Lletget didn't get any playing time. Woohoo! Sorry, but he's not good enough. Hopefully this is a sign that he's not really in the plans for the team because it seems like Busio has passed him. And yeah, with that, like, I can't see Luca de la Torre being excluded for him. Well, I can see it, but he shouldn't be excluded for Luca de la Torre. And I really want to see Julian Green back in the squad. Christian Roldan, nothing to mention there. I guess that Arriola's above him at that right wing position, but Roldan shouldn't be in the squad either. So yeah, that's every player from this team. Man, we've got a lot of talent, like, especially if everybody gets back. Like, I'm looking at our bench, and we'd have Brenden Aaronson coming off the bench. We could have Yunus Musah, Gianluca Busio. Like, our bench is going to get even stronger, and that's good because we need it. But like, this team's going to get a lot better, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Man, points-wise, we're not doing great right now. We're going to need it, like 6 or 7 next window, and I'm really hoping we can do it. I feel like we got the ability to. The December window is going to be interesting as well. There are a couple of MLS guys I want to see. I mentioned Austin Trusty. He's somebody I want to get a look at. Caden Clark, that's going to be a really good player to watch. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Georgi Mihalovic, get him a chance. But yeah, it's going to be a fun few windows. Man, bit of time off before it, but yeah, really good. Decent window for us. Liked our players, and yeah, that's all I've talked about. See ya.